Hey Waffle Crew, I hope you're all doing great. I'm Mark, and today we're diving into some fresh Reddit tales. If you enjoy these stories, consider giving a thumbs up, subscribing, and maybe ringing that notification bell. Let's jump right into our first tale. Much love, everyone. Our first story comes from user Puppy Kitten Lover, who asks, "Am I wrong for finally losing it at my ex's girlfriend after her endless snarky remarks?" Hey Redditors, this happened earlier today, and I'm still reeling from it. I need to know if I went too far or if I was in the right. I'm a 29-year-old woman who got invited to a friend's barbecue. My ex, Jake, a 30-year-old guy, and I split 2 years ago. It was a mutual decision. We both realized we weren't meant for each other long-term. Since we share a tight-knit friend group, we've stayed on good terms and occasionally cross paths at events. Usually, it's no big deal. Jake's been with his new girlfriend, Sophie, 26, for about 6 months. I don't know her well, but every time we're around each other, she seems to make a point of tossing subtle, snide comments my way. Things like, "Wow, still flying solo? That's bold." Or, "Must be nice to have all that free time without kids." I've always brushed it off to keep the peace. Here's some context. Even though Jake and I broke up, it's clear he hasn't fully moved on. He still finds reasons to message me, like sharing random memes or bringing up old inside jokes. In group settings, he'll casually mention memories from our relationship or reference songs and places that were special to us. A few mutual friends have mentioned that Jake's admitted to them he still has feelings for me, or at least isn't completely over our past. Nothing inappropriate has happened while he's with Sophie, as far as I know, but it's obvious there's some unresolved stuff there. I suspect Sophie picks up on it, which might explain why she's so oddly hostile toward me. Back to the barbecue. Sophie was at it again today. Every time I was nearby, she'd toss out little jabs like, "Some people just can't let go, huh?" Or, "I guess it takes some folks longer to mature." I ignored her for hours, but toward the end of the night, she said, "Not everyone's cut out for a healthy relationship." That was my breaking point. I turned to her and said, "You're right. It takes a special person to date a guy who's still hung up on his ex." The air went still. Sophie looked shocked. Jake seemed mortified, and a couple of friends awkwardly tried to shift the conversation. I left shortly after to avoid escalating things. I feel like she was poking at me all night, and I finally stood up for myself, but part of me wonders if I crossed a line by throwing that in her face, even if it's true. I didn't mean to use Jake's actions against her like that, and now I'm worried I stirred up unnecessary drama. So, Reddit, am I wrong for snapping at my ex's girlfriend after her constant snarky comments? You can only stay calm for so long, and after months of her subtle digs, anyone would eventually hit their limit. Honestly, your comeback was sharp and spot on. It's true, based on what you've shared. If Sophie's insecure about Jake's feelings, she should take it up with him, not target you. What's that going to solve? User Golden Word says, "Not the asshole." She pushed, and she found out. They added, "If she's so secure in her new relationship, she wouldn't feel the need to tear another woman down." User Quiet Vibes says, "Was it the most diplomatic way to handle it? Probably not. Could Sophie have been more mature? Definitely. Here's the thing. Everyone sat there quietly while she kept throwing jabs at you. Silence isn't neutral. It's enabling. Your friends let this go on for 6 months. Anyone in the group, including your ex, could have told her to stop. Before she came along, things were peaceful, and she's single-handedly causing tension. No one called her out. If she was targeting someone else in the group, they'd probably be upset too. Letting her run her mouth isn't keeping the peace. It's letting a petty person act unchecked because no one has the guts to speak up. Real friends defend you, whether you're there or not. Your friend group sounds spineless." They shared a story. "My best friend's ex got with his affair partner after their split. I was bartending temporarily, and the new girlfriend would come in with him and badmouth my friend. Every time I'd warn her once, 'Stop, or I won't serve you.' Sometimes she stopped. Sometimes she got cut off, or even kicked out. True friends don't let someone belittle or bully you, even with passive-aggressive remarks. Honestly, everyone sucks here except you, OP. You can only take so much before you snap." OP provided an update. "Hey Reddit, quick update since a lot went down. After I left the barbecue and posted, I got a ton of texts from friends saying things like, 'That was awkward, but long overdue.' Apparently, everyone noticed Sophie's jabs, and several said they were surprised I held out so long. Jake hasn't said a word to me. No apology, no comment, nothing. But I got a long, dramatic message from Sophie accusing me of trying to ruin her relationship and calling me manipulative. I didn't reply. It felt pointless. Here's the twist. I've been dating someone named Daniel for a few months. He's kind, grounded, and drama-free. Most importantly, he's not hung up on an ex. We've kept things low-key while we figured things out. But after the barbecue mess, I shared a photo of us in the group chat, just chilling at a cafe. Within an hour, Sophie left the chat. Do with that what you will. Daniel's been super supportive, and I think seeing that I've fully moved on shattered whatever narrative Sophie was clinging to. A mutual friend mentioned things aren't going well between her and Jake, which makes sense. I don't feel bad about what I said anymore. Maybe I could have been gentler, but sometimes the truth cuts deep, and people don't like it. Thanks for the comments. They helped me see I wasn't just being petty. I'm good now, better than good. Daniel brings me coffee and peace of mind, so that's a win. So, it seems like things worked out for OP. What do you think of this situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Now, a trigger warning for our next story. The title gives it away, but it discusses murder, so proceed with caution. This one's from user Anonymous Storyteller, who says, I've changed names and ages for privacy. I met David 6 months ago through friends, and we hit it off, becoming close quickly. One night while drinking, we got to talking about our pasts. He revealed he'd been in a psychiatric hospital for a couple of years after killing a friend during a psychotic episode. It was all over the news at the time, and I recognized his story but hadn't connected the dots. He was sentenced to psychiatric treatment, is on medication now, and deeply regrets it. He described it as feeling like a dream, and he was heavily using drugs back then. He's a completely different person now, and I trust him. He's the kindest guy I know, and I can't reconcile him with the person from the news. We started dating a month ago, and I brought him to meet my mom yesterday. She recognized him and didn't say anything in front of him, but called me today in a panic saying I can't date a murderer. I explained he was psychotic at the time, he's not that person anymore, and he's committed to his meds, but she was freaking out saying she fears for my safety and wants nothing to do with him. She told me to end it immediately, or she doesn't want to see me. I get that she's scared, but I think she's blowing it out of proportion. It wasn't intentional, and it frustrates me that she thinks I can't judge his character. So, how do I get my mom to accept this? Am I doomed to lose her? I need advice. User Starry Night 42 responds, quoting OP, I understand she's fearful, but I think she's overreacting. They say, that's not overreacting. If she'd screamed the moment she saw him, that'd be overreacting. She stayed composed, waited until he left, and privately shared her concerns. That's reasonable. Quoting OP again, it wasn't a deliberate murder, and it annoys me that she thinks I can't judge his character. They reply, that's not reassuring. You're comforted by the fact that he wasn't in control when he killed someone. What if he loses control again? What if he stops his meds or has another breakdown? Relapses happen, even with medication. You've known him for 6 months. Look at this sub. People get blindsided by partners they've known for decades. You think you can fully know him after half a year? I'm not saying he's dangerous now, but your mom's concerns are valid. You make your own choices, but the person he killed doesn't get a second chance, and many see that as unforgivable. You can't expect everyone to share your perspective. I agree with this. Imagine being OP's mom, hearing your daughter is dating someone who killed during a psychotic break. I'm not saying people can't change, but would I want my loved one in that situation? No way. Also, OP mentions drinking while he's on lifelong medication, which raises red flags about mixing alcohol with psychiatric drugs. User Moonlit Path says, many chronically ill people struggle to find partners because it's hard to take on that burden. Your partner has a severe mental illness. If you haven't seen it, it's because he hasn't shown it. You're underestimating how serious psychosis is. His conviction for murder limits his place in society. Together, these make him a challenging partner. You've chosen him, but don't ignore those who care about you. Keep an open mind. Another user quotes OP's overreacting line and says, put yourself in her shoes. Your daughter brings home a man with a severe mental illness who's proven he can be dangerous. You're not equipped to handle that, and you don't seem to grasp the gravity of his past. No parent wants that for their child, and it's not something you just accept. Dating him might mean friends and family distance themselves out of fear. Another comment adds, you've chosen this, knowing the risks. That's your call, but your mom doesn't have to be okay with it. Parents worry about their kids, and knowing his history, she's understandably on edge. She doesn't hate him or distrust you. She's scared. If he had a history of abuse, you'd get where she's coming from. She doesn't want to regret welcoming him if something goes wrong. OP updated 2.5 months later. Thanks for the responses. A lot of you said things I didn't want to hear, like I can't fully know someone after 6 months. I still think you can, but maybe not as much as I thought. Nothing dramatic happened. He wasn't as caring as I believed. If I didn't reach out, he wouldn't contact me for days. When I shared that a guy made me uncomfortable, he laughed and said he'd be flattered by the attention. I couldn't stop thinking about his past. Lying in bed while he was elsewhere, I felt vulnerable and unsafe. So, I ended it. I still believe he deserves happiness, but I'm not the one for him. My mom was relieved when I told her, though I didn't share why. Just that it didn't work out. She's been warmer since, despite not cutting me off as she threatened. He took the breakup well, almost too well, making me think he wasn't that invested. It stings that I didn't mean much to him, but I'm okay. We still talk, which might be foolish, but he's fun to chat with. And I don't feel I can judge him for something he did during a breakdown. He's committed to his meds and knows he needs them forever. He'll likely stay in my life as long as he sticks to that. Top comments on the update. User Silver T says, quoting OP, he laughed and said he'd be happy to get the attention. They respond, yikes. Quoting again, as long as he follows that, he'll probably stay in my life. They add, keeping him around is still risky. He killed a friend, and you can't guarantee he'll stay on his meds no matter what he says. User Clear Context says, quoting OP, I don't feel I can judge him for a psychotic breakdown. They reply, that something was murder. You broke up, he didn't care, and you want to stay friends. I'm guessing you're hiding this from your mom. Just because you're not dating doesn't mean you're safe if there was ever danger. You're basically keeping him around secretly. OP, your naivety and lack of self-preservation are concerning. That last comment nails it. Naivety sums it up. From the start, they clicked while drinking, despite his lifelong meds, and he casually shared his past. Then they started dating? That's wild. I'm not saying he can't change, but as a parent, I'd be like OP's mom. What do you think? If a loved one dated someone with that history, how would you feel? Share your thoughts below. Our next story is from user DanceBeats99 on the Petty Revenge subreddit, titled, Take My Commission. Fine. Enjoy doing my work while I consult. My first job was in retail, selling audio equipment and TVs at a store similar to a big box retailer. The pay figures are in US dollars, but I worked in a developing country, so the amounts might seem low. We earned commission only, with a base salary that disappeared if your commission exceeded it. For example, if your base was $500 and you earned $550 in commission, you'd get the higher amount. We also got pension and medical benefits as required by law. Besides selling, I had to set up displays, count stock, restock shelves, and handle pricing. Tedious tasks, but part of the job. I needed to sell to make money. Side note, my OCD and ADHD made me a pro at displays, restocking, and admin, but it hurt my sales performance. I worked with a guy named Lorenzo. Yes, that's his real name, and I find it amusing. Lorenzo was ruthless. He'd steal sales, snatch customers, and argue over deals, focusing only on selling and dodging all admin work. One day, I sold a high-end TV and audio combo, earning a $300 commission, a huge deal. I was thrilled and enjoyed my weekend. On Monday, I found out my sale was reassigned to Lorenzo because it was his customer. I lost the $300 and couldn't fight it. I was furious and done with the job. I marched into the manager's office, quit on the spot, signed the papers, and left before 9 a.m. Monday. The admin tasks, pricing, stock counts, restocking, displays, were a mess because Lorenzo never touched them. The store was chaos after the weekend. Tuesday morning, my manager called, begging me to return because corporate was upset about the undone admin. I agreed to come back as a contractor with benefits, a pension, and an hourly rate 4 times my base salary for a quarter of the hours, $2,000 a month. I started Wednesday, training Lorenzo to do everything and documenting his mistakes. I didn't lift a finger, I just directed him while he struggled. I worked 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., got weekends off, and played video games at a desk overlooking the floor while Lorenzo complained. He transferred to another store after 6 weeks because he couldn't stand me overseeing him. I got rehired full-time by corporate as a trainer and consultant, not by the store. I worked a year before moving on. Moral: don't mess with the person doing the heavy lifting. People loved OP's comeback and asked for more. OP posted another story on Petty Revenge. Too hungover to open the store and use me as your substitute? Good luck. This is from my retail days, after the Lorenzo saga, when I was supervising managers. Retail can be chaotic, especially with incompetent managers. 6 months after the Lorenzo incident, corporate sent me to monitor a manager named Donovan. Yes, his real name. Donovan was clueless, unable to tell profit from loss or understand margins. He also disliked me because I was the one who reported him for giving my commission to Lorenzo, which delayed his promotion. My task was to investigate why his store's Tuesday turnover was low, $3,000 compared to other stores' $10,000 daily targets. I arrived Monday at 7:30 a.m., expecting the store to be open for staff to prep for the weekly sale starting Tuesday. Donovan was AWOL. I called and messaged. Nothing. At 9 a.m., he stumbled in, looking rough, opened the store, ignored customers, and told everyone to get to work without a briefing. I stepped in, helping salespeople with pricing, displays, and even handling angry customers while Donovan passed out in his office. Monday was critical for Tuesday's sale launch, and managers typically guide staff on changes. At noon, the regional manager, RM, with whom I had a tense relationship, arrived and demanded why I was doing Donovan's job. I explained I was helping the staff while Donovan was busy. The RM stormed into Donovan's office, and chaos ensued. He saw Donovan's state and wasn't pleased. I reported my findings, and the RM asked me to stay until 2 p.m., my contracted hours, and thanked me, which was unusual. The petty revenge? Donovan claimed he'd set me up as a consultant because of the commission incident, trying to shift blame for his failure. He was hungover every Monday, expecting me to cover while he partied. After a long process, he was fired. He even asked me for a job. Some companies deserve these managers because they hire them. I've dealt with useless ones myself. At 19, I worked in a warehouse for an insurance company under a manager who was a power-tripping jerk. He'd nitpick perfect work to assert control. His boss, a fiery financial director in her 50s, once caught him sliding in late under a closing roller shutter door like an action hero. He brushed past us, acting cool. She excused herself, and I didn't see them for hours. Another time, he nearly crashed a forklift trying to film a cool turn for his phone. What do you think? Ever dealt with a terrible manager? Share your stories below or on r/Mark Narrations. Thanks for joining. Your support means everything. See you in the next one. Take care. Much love.